These flats are supposed to be abandoned, so who is in this window? Posted to TikTok by Scared to Death Zero. This crew is looking around an abandoned encampment at night when they see movement in one of the upper windows. Zooming in, there's no one there, but then they move their flashlight from the window, and the figure again peeks out from behind a curtain. Many in the comments are completely freaked out, while some think it's a squatter, others are not so sure. They say it has no face. What is this thing? Would you try to find out? When your home is occupied by shadow figures, it's probably time to move out. Redditor Bianca5150 set up a security camera to try and catch which one of her dogs was doing damage in her home. She received a notification alerting her to movement, and when she checked the footage, she found this. Did you see the shadow figure? Most in the comments think she should get out now, and I tend to agree. If we're to believe that no one was really home, this is one of the best pieces of shadow figure footage that I've ever seen. A YouTuber named Piso Mojado records this zombie deer as it mindlessly spins around in circles at a public parking lot in the middle of the day. After a while, it briefly stops and has what could be considered a brief moment of clarity.
You alright there, little guy?
But then it falls over, gets up and resumes its frantic pacing. It runs in a half circle and heads towards the camera, but then it falls again and starts flailing wildly on the ground instead. The zombie deer seems dazed when it gets up a third time, like something has permanently changed in its mind. It calmly stumbles forward with a blank look in its eyes and drool falling from its mouth.
Yeah, he's foaming at the mouth.
Watching this video, it's hard to tell if this deer has CWD or rabies like the uploader claims. The two share many common symptoms such as drooling, disorientation, and aggression, so we may never know for sure. Either way, this man is lucky this deer decided to run away at the last moment instead of continuing its slow and steady charge in his direction. Activity. Is this baby causing its toy to levitate? YouTube channel Scary Vid uploaded this creepy poltergeist activity on camera. The baby lies awake in its crib, while a stuffed animal levitates and then falls repeatedly on the bed. I think either this baby has superpowers, or the parents should move it out of this room ASAP. Number 2. For those of you who haven't heard or don't remember, on August 13th, 2018, a man named Chris Watts made national headlines after taking the lives of his two daughters, Bella and Celeste, and his wife Shanann, who was 15 weeks pregnant. Two police investigators and a special canine handler now search the Watts residence on August 14th, one day after Shanann was reported missing. They are confident that their dog will be able to sniff out any DNA evidence that Chris Watts may have tried to scrub away. What they find instead is an abundance of paranormal evidence as recorded by their chest-mounted camera. Like this part where I hear the unmistakable laughter of a child as they pass through Bella's room at 12 minutes and 32 seconds. Listen for yourself, there's no denying it.
Well, there's plenty of person in here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that was a motion-activated doll or something, but I doubt it, especially given what else they hear in the next room over. A voice says something like, "I have CC," which is short for Celeste, and they are standing in the room of Celeste too. Then again, I think it could be the K9 handler saying something under her breath as she checks the closet, so maybe it's not paranormal after all. Things get weird once again as they enter the garage. Another voice, a woman this time. but it could be the officer whispering something to herself. Moments later, they pass by these containers in the garage. Containers Chris was believed to have used to transport the bodies from the house into his truck. The dog sniffs them, but everything looks clean.
Something has set him off down in this area.
As they are walking away, they record this. It's a wail of agony coming from all directions at once. But that's not all. The most compelling evidence occurs in the very beginning, but I've saved it for last. Check out the top of the stairway on the left when they first enter. There is some movement that I find very strange. It could be a trick of the light playing across the rails, but I see a little girl rushing down the steps. A girl with a short haircut. She vanishes before she reaches the bottom, and this event also coincides with a shadow figure sighting recorded by police on a different night after the home security alarm mysteriously went off on its own. It's in the same area and roughly the same size as before. A poor girl lost, looking down at the entrance and disappearing before she reaches the bottom of the stairs. William Sloan has no idea what to make of this paranormal evidence and is asking for help from experts because he admits he doesn't know much about the other side. He was playing with a Ouija board when he made contact with a ghost who calls itself James. William must have forgotten to properly end the ceremony because ever since then, scary stuff like this happens way too often around his now haunted home.
Just rock it a little bit. Just a little bit.
Obviously, there's no one behind it or near it except for him, but the lighting is a little low, so maybe he was pulling on a piece of string to make it look like a ghost is moving the chair. Weeks later, William tries his best to harness some type of relationship with the spirit. Train it, if you will. One of the paranormal experiments is called the candle trick, and it involves trying to get James to move the candle around.
One more time.
Most objects, when pulled with a string, will glide over the smooth surface of a table. This sounds different, like it's being pushed down into the table with some amount of friction. William also claims to have been trying to get James to blow the candle out, but I guess that hasn't been caught on video yet. If you're still not sure what to make of this, you're not alone. Sometimes William himself has doubts, but whenever he does, it seems like the ghost has more scary moments to show.
I don't know. Just went in a little bit. I'm not convinced.
Even assuming the sliding glass door was open, the timing of the wind gust is undeniable. Much like the candle, William says he's not convinced, and then James convinces him.
Holy.
William has saved the best paranormal evidence for last. This time he gives James a new object, a bell. He doesn't believe in modern ghost hunting equipment and believes a simpler approach will yield the best results. He rings the bell a few times to show James that it works and then invites him to do the same.
You do that. Just give me one good ring if you're there. You see that? Is that happening?
Since William asked for help, I'll give my overall analysis. I think videos like this are hard to fake. I've seen a lot of them, and this is probably the most convincing because I don't know how he could be faking ghost movement from that close. In other words, the bizarre activity is probably real. A person checks their CCTV to catch whoever busted their side view mirror. It's on the sidewalk side, and therefore absolutely couldn't have been a car. The video does not end at all as expected when a phantom force snatches the mirror and gives it a twist. Then again, maybe a manufacturer's bolt or something came loose here at 2 seconds. Point is, I've never seen a car mirror do something like this all by itself before. Have you? Back in 1993, this TikToker's father took a video on a sharp camcorder. She thinks he captured a ghost. Posted on TikTok by Olivia Bishop, the mysterious video shows a child at play while her parents watch.
For all those Gen Zs out there, this is a camcorder. We'd set it up, press record, and go about our day. I don't know why, it was just a 90s thing. And just so you guys know, we've had a ghost in every house that we've lived in, so that's why I found this very intriguing. Go ahead and watch that pumpkin in the left-hand corner, and let me know what you think.
A small plastic pumpkin sits at the end of a slide near the camcorder. After a moment, it rolls across the floor on its own for no discernible reason. Some in the comments note that the baby looks over at the pumpkin at the exact moment, like she senses something is there. Olivia claims to have had a ghost in every house they've lived in. Is this one of them? It appears that's the case. According to YouTuber Steve Ronan, this mansion used to be a hideout of an individual who ended many lives, but Steve discovered it wasn't empty. While he's in the cellar, he has a bit of a surprise.
It's a tiny, like, little cellar. That's creepy. Whoa! Oh my! I can see a mouse right there just staring at me.
As he's continuing to search the place, he wonders if someone's living here.
Kind of looks like this is being used, too. It's a dead cockroach on the floor. That's pretty nasty.
Soon they realize they shouldn't be here.
Yeah, so I don't know how long we should be here.
Okay, we should get out soon.
That's extra.
And this confirms it.
This is getting creepy now. This might be lab. That's what we're thinking.
Because we are together.
And now it's time to leave.
Yeah. This was a famous artist's house.
I think a gang is using this. Let's get out.
This exploration just kept going from bad to worse. I probably would have left the minute I found out it was once the hideout of a very evil person. For years, this man experienced paranormal activity in his home, including books and Xbox games thrown on the floor and lights turned on. After setting up a camera, he finally captured footage of the Poltergeist, published by Seth Lee Thompson in July of 2010. This is just a small taste of what Seth has been dealing with. A second clip shows the stairwell at night. The last clip shows the ghost playing with the lights. According to Seth, the light switch you see to the right is the only one connected to the corresponding light. It flicks on and off several times. Is this hallway haunted? If it is, don't be scared. As YouTuber Dark Pisces reminds us in the comments, just because spirits move things does not make them automatically evil. Something is very wrong with this mannequin, and you'll never guess what it is. It looks completely normal here, but things are about to take a turn for the creepy. The mannequin moves all by itself and even seems to track some shoppers as they walk by. It's a creepy scenario, but I think this is probably planned and not paranormal. In my opinion, this almost has to be a clever advertising technique and not the work of a shopping mall ghost, as the title of the video says. This store probably set up animatronic mannequins to get people's attention and hopefully draw them into the store. It might work on some, but I think it also freaks a lot of them out. I know if I saw this, I would choose someplace else where the mannequins stay in place like they're supposed to, so they might want to rethink this marketing strategy. What would you do if you came across this chilling scene at night? Well, because there's a sign on the side of the road that reads "Free Cat." If it's there to lure unsuspecting people in, it's done its job. As these three stop their car to check out the makeshift animal shelter. As the trio approach the sign, they realize they're looking at something truly horrifying on a dark, deserted road at night. They conclude that whoever did this put the cats there because they're psycho. Couldn't agree more. Get out of there as fast as humanly possible. There's a phantom haunting this women's bathroom, and she doesn't like being disturbed. Posted to the r/paranormal encounter subreddit by Kiraxis. This entity was captured in a women's bathroom in Colombia. The footage shows an empty building at night. Something can be heard causing a disturbance in the bathroom.
Estoy nuevamente aquí, en la puerta del baño.
The security guard looks up and down both hallways. He then approaches the bathroom where he finds that the noise is the faucet shutting on and off.
Se prenden las luces. ¿Está jugando con la llave? ¿Ah?
At first, you think that could easily be explained away by some technical malfunction, but then one of the air dryers is triggered too.
¿Está jugando con la llave?
After a moment, a door from one of the bathroom stalls slams shut, and that's the last straw for the security guard.
Necesito otra prueba. ¡Ay, marica!
He flees the scene. Could this be the real-life version of the fictional Moaning Myrtle? Whoever it is, they sure chose a strange place in which to spend eternity. A man is complaining about the constant rain in Raleigh, North Carolina, when nature apparently has had enough.
This sucks. Looks like it's gonna be... Oh.
When you play frame by frame at 12 seconds, you can see a bright white flash takes up most of the screen and comes from the left. That means the lightning hit extremely close, probably his parking lot if not his building, and the video immediately ends. While at their friend's mountain house, this party found a series of tiny handprints on the door. The only problem? They match none of their hands. THAXTJ2 published this mysterious video to YouTube. Let's have a look.
Whose little handprints?
I don't know!
Oh my god!
On the door. They're tiny!
We have a ghost!
And they're, wait, they both go the same way!
We have a
But
ghost.
no, she went
The prints are very small, even child-sized.
on the door. They're tiny!
The YouTuber writes that none of their hands were wet either. So what created these marks? Seems to me like yet another child ghost. I'm starting to think this place is haunted. A nice looking kitchen in the middle of the afternoon is probably one of the least scary settings possible. Well, I thought so too until this 3-second video proved me wrong. We've all jumped out from around a corner before to scare someone, but I've never really seen a YouTube video create that same feeling until this one. I have to give credit to Tyler1 for keeping the video as basic as possible and still getting the job done. This worrisome video I'm about to show you was posted on March 18th of 2017 by a person who had been teetering on the edge of self-destruction for years.
Things are much worse this time. Something seems to be after me. I don't know what else to say, except goodbye.
You'll never guess what he does next, but first let me tell you what he has been through. His psychological torment would begin in early 2015, approximately 2 years before his final goodbye. That was when someone began knocking at his door almost every night for days. He lives all alone and is a very private person, so introverted in fact that we never learn his name. For him to have a visitor is not normal, let alone in the middle of the night. The knocks were annoying at first, but he figured it would stop if he ignored it. But when that didn't work, he decided to start documenting everything early on, in case he needed to take it to the police or something later. He also decided to confront it and defend himself if need be. This incident, taken on February 12, 2015, starts with 2 knocks that are so soft, it would be easy to think you're imagining them. But after 3 weeks of harassment, he is frazzled and hears every noise, so he springs to action ready to meet force with force, but there's just one problem. Nothing is ever there to confront. Listen closely to this part, because I hear chatter after he locks up. He installs a second camera outside the very next night on February 13th, 2015, Friday the 13th to be exact. Sure enough, it starts again. He opens the door and no one's there. It's not two different videos put together either, because his movements in both videos sync perfectly, like at 1 minute and 15 seconds when he smooths his hair. Even if he practiced this routine, it still wouldn't be this dead on. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that this happens at 3 a.m. every night. Anyone would want to move, and he absolutely did, but his money situation meant he couldn't either continue to endure this or go homeless in the middle of the winter. Eventually, he decides to go outside before 3 a.m. and see if he can catch whatever or whoever is doing this on video. He doesn't see them, but he does find footprints leading away from his house into the woods. The footprint is separated in two halves, more like a hoof print than a foot, yet 2 legs instead of 4. Some people have said this could be a demon or even a cryptid. I don't know about all of that, but I know that he really did go out at 3 a.m. and I know this because I hear a train throughout the video. Oddly enough, this late night train is heard in all of his videos, and I think could be closely related. Something bad must have happened on the nearby tracks. By August 28th, whatever had left those footprints was looking for other ways inside both day and night. No longer was it confined to 3 a.m. Tell me if this is an animal or something way worse. I didn't hear any claws tapping. This was the sound of somebody fast. A raccoon or a possum would be doing this at nighttime. This was something big in the middle of the day, like a restless spirit. So after years of experiencing this and other similar encounters, perhaps you'll better understand why. After saying goodbye in March of 2017, he simply decided to open up the door and stop.
Goodbye.
Whatever that was, it sounded far from being a person. Over 2 years later, this mysterious final video was uploaded on January 1st, 2019. Those sound like church bells. Maybe this is a clip taken from a funeral. Could it be his? And whoever typed these replies doesn't act like him at all. The aggression with which some ghosts make their presence known can frighten even the bravest among us. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Mr. Miracle BR. The Redditor says this clip was tweeted by a police officer and reveals a strange, seemingly paranormal encounter during a police raid in Brazil. The footage shows what appears to be an abandoned building. The police approach to find a door banging repeatedly on its hinge. As they get closer, they see that it's doing so on its own. No trespassers are around. Nothing behind the door but an apparently angry plant. The man filming scans the door up and down, but nothing seems to explain the banging. The police hear something clatter to the ground somewhere far off and start running down the alley. Redditor Islin draws attention to something else creepy in the clip, writing, "How come no one is pointing out the girl in the doorway at 38 seconds? Not sure if that's a girl. In fact, it's unclear what it is, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's very unnerving." Those who don't see it remain skeptical about the seeming paranormal activity. Redditor Bin Medi writes, "Ghosts do this, but they don't do it constantly." Well, there you have it. While at the Miami Air and Sea Show, David Sugarman spotted something unusual while reviewing his videos. Watch closely and you'll see a vertical object fly up in front of the plane. David says he filmed the video in slow motion, so whatever this object is, it's moving fast. Let's see it again. While some Twitter users think this could be a drone, David says there were no drones allowed because of the air show. Most agree that it does appear to come out of the water, and it looks that way to me as well. It's definitely a UFO in that it's an unidentified flying object, but is it that kind of UFO? You know, the kind we all want it to be. I'm stumped on this one. Bryce Newbold describes this Ohio hiking experience through the Shawnee State Forest as a very rough trip, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why. It's a hot summer's day and he has many miles ahead. By 4 miles, he is drenched and walks about half a mile to drink from the river. His next source of water won't be until nightfall, and by then he will have walked 12 miles. By the second day, he is feeling unusually miserable and drained and decides to take a shorter route.
I am absolutely covered in either little tiny ticks or chiggers. They're probably chiggers. They are all over me right now. I tried washing them off, but I mean, I'm gonna have to go through and pick them off one by one, it looks like.
He's looking pretty pale by the end of the day, even though he's been getting plenty of sun. That's because poor Bryce has been getting his legs chewed off by tiny ticks that won't give up, and by the end of the day it's looking pretty bad.
And I have a million bites from those little chiggers last night. You can see they're still on there.
By the time he gets back home, his legs and feet are covered in marks. I'm not a doctor, but I definitely would be going to one soon if I were him. That looks really bad, and I think it's probably time for a test or two to make sure you didn't get anything from them. I really hope he's okay and that nothing like this ever happens to him again. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.